If you guys don't reply, I'll not be able to get it, right?
Yes, ma'am. The screen is visible, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay. So we'll start with something, there are some important things that we should understand, okay? And then we'll understand how the web thingy is actually working, okay? And then we'll start with something called as HTML. Are you guys fine with it?
Yes, ma'am.
This is your first class, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So the first term that I have for you guys is internet connection. How many of you know? How many of you know about internet connection? I guess everyone, right? Only because of the internet connection, we are allowed to, send and receive data over the web, right? See, everyone should speak. Otherwise, there is no like advantage of taking this class. Okay. So, how many of you know what is internet connection? Just raise your hands, or maybe just type down in the chat that okay, I know what is internet connection. Perfect, right? So, internet connection is nothing but it is something that is actually allowing us to send and receive the data over the web, right? So the second question will be the second term that I'm going to give you will be that there is something called TCP/IP. Okay, there's something called TCP/IP. How many of you know the full form for TCP/IP? Just the full form. Can you write down in the chat what is the full form of TCP/IP? Perfect. So TCP is nothing but transmission control protocol. Okay. So TCP, it is nothing but transmission control protocol. Okay. And what is the full form for the IP? Anyone? Internet protocol. Perfect. So IP is nothing but the internet protocol. Okay. So these two protocols, they are actually we can actually understand them as the communication protocols that we have. They are actually defining how data will exactly travel across the internet, right? So they are more like the transport mechanism for you know for the data. Are you getting my point? So TCP/IP, they are nothing but the communication protocols who are defining how the data should actually travel across the internet, right? So if I just give you an example, so suppose I want to visit New Zealand, right? So I'll have something as my mode of transport, right? So the airplane in this case is going to be my mode of transport. So that is nothing but the TCP/IP in the case of the web. Okay, so it's like they are the communication protocols that are actually defining, how data will be traveled, how we'll be, passing the data from one place to another across the internet. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So moving forward, the third thing that I really want to show you is DNS. So how many of you already know what is a DNS? Perfect. So DNS is nothing but it's domain name system, right? So you all must be familiar with the IP address, right? We all know what is the IP address, right? So it's more like IP address is the unique address for the website, right? It's the unique address for every website. But IP address actually looks like something like this. Let's say, you know, whatever, right? It is something that definitely cannot be remembered by a normal human mind. Are you getting my point? Right? But IP address is nothing but it is the unique identifier of a website, right? It's just a unique identifier of a website. So, but the way the IP address is written, it is not, we cannot actually remember it. Like our human minds cannot, remember it, right? So domain, because we couldn't, remember, or we couldn't expose, let's say, the IP address of every website that we have, we actually introduced domain name system. Okay, so domain name system is nothing but it is an address book for the websites. Okay, it is nothing but an address book for the websites. Am I clear? Domain name system. So whenever you will type a web address in your browser, whenever you'll be basically typing the web address in the browser, what will happen? The browser will actually look through this DNS, right? And it will ask the DNS to please provide the real address. Real address, by real address I mean please provide the IP address for this website, so that I can retrieve it for my user. Okay, so whenever you are typing a web address in the web browser, what will happen? The browser will go to the DNS and will ask the DNS, can you please provide me the IP address for the website? Because I need to find out where this website is currently living, right? So that I can actually request it and then show it to my client. Any doubts? If you're clear with what I have just taught right now, just write clear in the chat quickly. Four people out of 23. What about others? Quickly, a yes or no? Quickly. Perfect. Okay. So the next term that I want you to be get introduced with is nothing but HTTP. How many of you know what is HTTP? Can you please write down the full form for HTTP in the chat? Do you know what is HTTP? Perfect. So it's nothing but hypertext transfer protocol. Okay. Um, Hypertext transfer protocol. Okay. Now, what is this? Like we have already gone through what is internet protocol, what is transmission control protocol. Now there is another kind of protocol as well. It's hyper text transfer protocol. Okay, so it is nothing but an application protocol. Application protocol in the sense it actually gives us a language, not us. It actually gives a language for clients and servers to speak to each other. Okay, so now I have used two different words. So I have used something called client, and then I have used something called server. Okay, so how many of you know what is a client and what is a server? Anyone? Please unmute and tell me what is a client and what is a server, if you know it.
Ma'am, server is the one thing which provides the provides or responds to the client's request, ma'am. And client is a person or an organization who requests some service from the server.
Right. So basically, if I just explain you in a very simple manner, clients are nothing but those web users who are connected to the internet, or basically they are the typical web users, internet connected devices. Okay. So currently, my PC is nothing but a client, right? Anything like my computer which is connected to my Wi-Fi, or let's say my phone which is connected to a mobile network, right? They are nothing but what? They are the client. Am I clear with what is a client? So I'll again repeat, clients are nothing but anything which is actually connected to the internet is a client. Okay, perfect. Now, what is a server? Okay, so I'll not explain the server in the depth right now because it may confuse you, right? So we can just imagine servers in the way. Servers are nothing but, let's just imagine they are the computers that stores everything, that 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 actually stores all of the websites, all of the things that we can actually request from the uh, that we can actually need anytime. So basically you can just imagine all of the websites are residing in some or the other server, all of them. Okay, so a server will have all the information about the website, about let's say a particular website. It will know where a website is particularly residing. If the client is, let's say a client is requesting for something called google.com, right? So a server knows how to actually respond the client with the particular web page. Am I clear with client and server? So it's more like client is nothing but a computer that is connected to the internet, and server is nothing. We can consider it as a box right now, right? So client will always request something from the server, okay? And the server will nothing but it will validate the request, okay? Validate the request in the sense it will check whether the request which client is making, whether it is correct or not, right? Because client can also make invalid requests, right? Maybe client is asking for something which he or she is not authenticated to, right? So server has to check whether it is a valid request or not. If that request is valid, the server will give a response to the client. Am I clear with client server architecture? So this is nothing but a client server architecture. Okay. So HTTP is nothing but an application protocol, which is actually defining a language for the client and for the server to speak. Any doubts? So I'll again repeat myself. HTTP is something that is actually defining a language for the client and the server to speak. Okay. To speak in the sense to communicate to each other. Am I clear with everything that I've taught yet till this point? So yeah, we can say not the user. So basically, okay, we can actually consider user as our own client. So it's more like our browser can act like a client, right? Because we are typing the web address into the URL, sorry, into the search bar, and browser is someone who's actually requesting the server. So browser is here nothing but the client. So basically anything which is connected to internet. So your PC, your laptop is nothing but a client. Okay, so it goes in this way. Okay, now you all can take approx 5 to 10 minutes, and you have to quickly make the notes for all of these terms that I have described, and then we'll move forward. Okay, quickly.